And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. Today, we're looking at another NBA draft prospect, and we're going to be looking at the possibilities here of the Chicago Bulls taking a guard in this upcoming NBA draft. And so, before we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Monis Buzelis slam dunks in games. In exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. So, make sure you hit that subscribe, you hit that like button, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. And so we are focusing on Jase Richardson of Michigan State. And so he was a one and done here. He is a guard, 6'3", 192. And why would he be a good fit for the Chicago Bulls? Well, I think that he has a ton of upside. And if Jase Richardson gets to that upside, I must say that this would definitely be something that could certainly help get the Bulls in the right direction here. And so let's start with the numbers with Jase Richardson and just the things that he's done. And so you can see that he's averaged 12.1 points a game. You see that the rebounds are at 3.3 rebounds a game, 1.9 with the assist. But more importantly, when you look at the percentages here, 41.2 from three, which we're going to touch on that in a moment, 49.3 from the field, and 83.6 from the free throw line. And so let's start with the scoring, the numbers. You see that, they're low. And so if you were to look at this on a piece of paper, you'd never seen him play, you'd say, okay, well, he just doesn't look like a player that should be this high in the NBA draft. But let me tell you something. Jase Richardson is a special talent here. And what you love about him is he can absolutely knock down the three ball. And he can not only knock down the three ball just standing there, he can knock down the three ball off of movement as well. And so point number one, he is a crafty type of scorer. So this is a guy that will get you into step backs. If he's open, you can count it as a layup, and he's left-handed as well. And so he has great touch. His shot is something that I definitely think a lot of teams are going to want. And you can certainly see that, look, if he were to get to the Chicago Bulls, if you're able to get downhill, Josh Giddey, Coby White, assuming that he's still here, would be able to just really get the defense drawn in. And then you can imagine this guy, filling behind these guys, relocating at the three-point line. He is absolutely going to knock it down. And so next point with him, offensively, he is just crafty with it, because when you look at his highlights, you will see a player that finds ways to continue to get the defense off balance. Like he gets them off balance. He finds ways to get into just the seams of a defense and get up shots. And he is terrific, I think, at finishing in the paint at his size. Again, he's 6'3", 192. I think that you constantly see that on film. So that's another thing. Crafty with his handle and his ability to really get to the spots on the floor and be effective that way. So that's another point. Next, his motor. His motor is terrific. I think that when you look at his games, you look at his highlights and things like that, he competes at a high level. And I love the swagger. He's going to let you know every time that he hits a jump shot. He's going to let you know when he makes a big play in the games. And so that high motor on offense, he's constantly going to be moving. He's constantly going to be attacking. He's constantly going to be probing. And so you love the high motor there. Next, defensively, I think that motor translates as well. I think that he instantly comes in and he's going to be a terrific type of a team defender. So I think that he's a guy that you want him to get better as an individual defender, but I think he certainly could fit into a team concept, especially, look, if you need him to slide into that zone that Billy Donovan wants to run, I think that he understands concepts there. He can use his basketball IQ. And then defensively, individually, I think that he's a guy that he is going to give you some resistance. He absolutely can get over screens and things like that. He's active. And so I love that with his motor. And I think that he has a ton of upside here with that. And then next, going back to his numbers, one of the other things that I would say about that is most people would look at the numbers and say, okay, it didn't wow you. He didn't have a high usage rate at Michigan State, which is another reason why the upside really jumps off the page for Jase Richardson, and a guy that I think, look, he could be really a steal, especially if he gets to that upside, which I'm banking on the fact that he really should, especially since his dad, Jason Richardson, played in the NBA, won the dunk contest. I think that he definitely knows what the NBA game is about, probably been around the locker rooms and things like that. And so I think that that's probably a stat that's immeasurable. And I think that that's huge. The fact that he's been around the league and he understands what it's about. And so I think that you'll probably get that level of maturity in your locker room. And so I think that that's another factor as to why the Bulls should probably take a look at him. And again, just throwing out some more key characteristics of him. Look, he has a fluid jumper. He's a lefty. Like I said, he's terrific with the movement. Talked about how he can finish at the rim. And I just think the upside as a playmaker, you look at the assist total, it's not anything that's special. Again, it was low usage rate, but 1.9 assists. And when he does make the plays, like they're terrific plays, he knows how to use that handle to draw in defenders, and he can get you a pass. And so he's not going to be a guy that's going to hit you with behind the backs. It's not going to be anything flares or anything like that. But trust me, he understands angles. He understands how to get the defense where he needs to get them, and he will find you if you get open. And I think if you give him a chance to do so, he can do that. And I think that the great thing about Jase Richardson is he doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands. That's another added bonus here. You're looking at a player that can operate off ball. And so that means if the Bulls are going to go ahead with Josh Giddey, which is what I think they are probably going to do and should do, then he's a player that absolutely would fit in here. Now, you would wonder, it's another guard. I'm saying the same thing. And this is possible that the Chicago Bulls could go for a guard. And I would say that if they do, Jase Richardson, I'm betting on his upside. And I think that, look, you can still have Coby on the roster, which, I think that that's going to be interesting once he goes into free agency, which I think is probably going to be likely because I don't think he's going to sign that extension due to the 140 rule. I don't think he should. And so that gives the Bulls really a chance to evaluate Jase Richardson and find out what they want to do there. They could elect to keep all these guys together. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it. It reminds me a little bit of the young Bulls back in the day. And one of his player comparisons, ironically, is one of the young Bulls from back in the day, and that is Kirk Hinrich. And so remember Kirk Hinrich, remember Ben Gordon, and those guys really fit in very well. So, I mean, it's a backcourt that, again, it can happen if the Chicago Bulls want to go this route. And so, like I said, I like his upside. I think he's a guy that really could fit in with Josh Giddey and Coby White. I don't think he would be a player that gets in the way. I'm not sure if you're slating him in as a starter necessarily. And that's the great thing about what he did at Michigan State, because I think really his role kind of picked up towards the end of the year. And so if you need him to come off the bench and maybe be a role player, I could definitely see a situation where maybe him and Ayo are coming off the bench and really taking over that second unit until the Chicago Bulls figure out a little bit more of what they want to do, with their core in the starting lineup there. But I definitely think that I like his upside here. And so anyway, let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking about Jase Richardson. Like I said, it's all about the upside here. Some of the comparisons that he got with the ringer here were Kirk Hinrich, Darius Garland, Reed Shepherd, Delonte West. He was a solid player. I've even seen like a little bit of a shade of like a Jalen Brunson type of player with the way that he can be crafty like that, or like a Fred Van Fleet with Houston. And so maybe comparisons there. And again, when you're talking about comparisons, you're talking about you see some shades of that in a player. And so he definitely could be that. And so you guys let me know in the comments here. If the Bulls go with a guard here, would you be okay with Jase Richardson? We'll be talking more NBA draft prospects, obviously, as that starts to ramp up here and we hear some more about what these players are looking like here in the NBA Combine. And so as we always say here, look, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.